Waiting means to be still and see the salvation of God. Many times the reason we speak in tongues for long is because our heart is noisy. House rent is troubling you. Anger is troubling you. Somebody spoke against you. You heard this story. You heard that story. So you may need to pray for 4 hours, for 5 hours, for you to ascend to a level where you leave those things behind. Now that you have left those things behind and you have become still, that's when you now wait. Moses climbed Mount Sinai for 40 days. After climbing for 40 days, he came to the top of the mountain. That's what tonguing is. When you have ascended in tongues, then you wait. He was there for 6 days, then God showed up. And God began to speak to him. Many don't wait on God. They are in a rush. The anointing brings relevance. And so every man who is anointed is a candidate for relevance. So it is the breath of God that brings relevance, not material things. I said to stir the anointing, you must learn to speak to yourself. When you are going through challenges, don't allow the challenge tell you what to do. He said, why men are cast down? You say. It didn't say you are lifted though. It said you say there's a lifting up. That means it's your saying that will lift you up. Because when you start saying, the anointing goes to work. If you don't say, the anointing won't go. The reason men are cast down and they are buried is because they are talking the cast down. Did you see how God functioned? He said in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, the earth was in chaos. Darkness was upon the deep. God never mentioned darkness. God was saying what he wanted to say. Light be. God's voice is not loud. God's voice is distinct. So if you don't know the voice of God, he will speak, you will think it's your mind. He will speak, you will think it's somebody else. He will not shout at you. God may speak to you with the same voice of your human spirit. But it's when you wait on God that you train your spirit man to be able to distinguish the voice of God from every other voices. Because he said, when the trumpet makes an unusual sound, who shall prepare for battle? If you start waiting on God, you will know that God has been speaking to you for the past 10 years. You are not just hearing because you didn't spend time to isolate the voice of God from the many spectrum of voices that are in your spirit. And so when somebody wants to hear the voice of God, he needs to learn to separate himself and wait.